The sinking of the Titanic is one of the most infamous disasters in all of human history, and even the smallest of artifacts can command insanely high price tags, keeping them out of the reach of many average collectors. But if you have always wanted to own a piece of the Titanic, you may be in luck, because a coalition of 3 companies is coming together and using the power of blockchain technology and NFTs to make the prospect of owning a Titanic artifact a reality for average collectors. Or at least that's the headline. Hey everyone, and welcome back. This is the Part-Time Economist, and in today's video, we are talking all about this proposal to tokenize artifacts from the Titanic as NFTs onto the blockchain. So you've probably got a lot of questions. What does this mean? Do I actually own a piece of the Titanic? How can a piece of the Titanic be represented digitally? We're talking all about it in today's video, but not before I tell you, this video is not financial advice. Please do not make any kind of financial decisions based on what I say here today. But what you can do is like the video, comment, or subscribe because it totally helps the channel out. With that being said, let's jump right into it. If you have always been a fan of the Titanic, you might have wanted to own a piece of it. And that's the goal of a coalition between 3 separate companies that are going to take artifacts from the Titanic and mint them as NFTs onto the blockchain. Biggest question right here. What does that actually mean? What does owning an NFT artifact of the Titanic actually do for you? Unfortunately, the simple answer is we don't really know right yet. If we look at this article from Cointelegraph, it says that Venture Smart Financial Holdings will be tasked with structuring the tokenization of intellectual property rights linked to the artifacts. The tokenized instruments are intended to be offered to accredited investors to create an avenue for compliant capital raising to fund ongoing research, recovery, preservation, and so on and so forth. So keep in mind, that is the number one thing here that you need to know. They are tokenizing the intellectual property. Obviously, they can't take a button or a watch or a rudder or a propeller from the Titanic and actually create a digital item out of that. They are tokenizing the intellectual property rights. Now, keep in mind, intellectual property rights can still be pretty powerful if we talk about licensing out the rights to use your artifact in a video or in a documentary. However, even with that, we see that there are some caveats. It says that select artifacts from the sunken Titanic will be preserved as non-fungible tokens to open up shared ownership to the general public. Now again, we don't know what this means. Does this mean that there's going to be 100 shares open to the general public, and if you buy all of those, then you have control of that intellectual property? Does it mean that if you have 51%, you can outvote everyone else and decide what to do with that intellectual property? Or does it mean that the company itself will own the lion's share of the IP rights and you have a small sliver? The simple answer is that we simply don't know at this point. But that doesn't mean these NFTs will be worthless. From my initial read of this article, it looks like they're going to be more of an access pass like we see with other NFT projects. The article tells us that these NFTs are touted to offer exclusive benefits to collectors, including VIP events and exhibitions, seminars with historians, and other exclusive experiences. The NFTs will create a digital means to interact with RMST content, that's the Titanic content, outside of physical exhibitions in Atlanta and Las Vegas. So owning one of these NFTs is kind of like your insider pass, right? You get into some of these exclusive events, you can say that you own a piece of the Titanic, but look very closely at that last line. They provide a digital means, right, to interact with the content outside of physical exhibitions in Atlanta and Las Vegas. Now, if you were actually owning a piece of the Titanic through this NFT, it would say it provides a additional means, right? But it's very clear to distinguish. This is a digital means of interacting outside of the physical, which is obviously going to be in Atlanta and Las Vegas, right? So they're telling you this NFT is not the same as the underlying Titanic artifact. Now, there are some NFT projects where owning the NFT is actually a claim on a physical product that is stored somewhere in a warehouse. I've talked about this before with viral NFTs, and those are really cool because owning this NFT is a claim, as I said, on the underlying asset, right? And yes, it's not the same as actually having it in your possession, but the cool thing, you can trade this NFT. Whoever owns the NFT knows that they can redeem it at any time for the physical product. With this, there is no underlying physical product. You can't redeem it. You can't just collect all the shares and say, hey, I'm taking this out of Las Vegas or Atlanta. I'm delivering it to my home, right? At least not the way that this article is currently written. But like I said, that doesn't mean that the NFTs are worthless. We see that they are going to also create a Titanic decentralized autonomous organization, or Titanic DAO, that will allow members to participate in various initiatives and proposals for future exhibitions to the Titanic site. The Titanic DAO treasury will be managed by the members using governance tokens and funded through proceeds of these NFT sales. Now, one thing that I do want you to pay attention to. The article says that the DAO will facilitate the development of educational programs, digital content, documentaries, research, partnerships, events. The DAO members are also expected to have a say in the preservation and exhibition of recovered artifacts from the wreckage. Now, that sounds pretty cool, right? That you, as a collector, are going to be able to basically say where this artifacts are displayed. However, keep in mind, there are a couple contingent words here. They are expected, right? They're not saying you will, right? They're not guaranteeing it. They're saying, well, we're expecting that you'll be able to do this. And then also keep in mind here, to have a say, right? That does not say we'll get to decide. It does not say will determine. It says to have a say, right? It's kind of the same thing with voting, right? You can vote, but there's a 1 in however many million billion chance that you actually make the difference. The same thing here. You are expected to have a say. So I do think this is a pretty cool project. If you're interested in the Titanic, it might give you a little piece of owning the Titanic, but at the end of the day, it simply isn't the same as owning a physical item. The way that I look at this is it is more of a way of supporting the research. It is an access pass that, to be honest, is supposed to have some benefits, right? These exclusive events, these VIP things. The way that I look at it is kind of in the past, if you contributed to some project or some charity, they might give you a certificate, right? In my mind, the way that I'm looking at this, it's a digital certificate. Now, it does have some advantages, like I said, that are easier to track because it is digital. So who is entitled to come to this seminar? Well, anyone that is assigned this NFT in their wallet address. So again, it does have some advantages, but I think it's very important to actually understand with any NFT project what it is that you're actually getting and what you're not. But I'm interested to hear what you have to say. Do you think this is a pretty cool proposal, or do you think it's just another cash grab to kind of make people feel special without giving them anything tangible? As always, the video is not financial advice. I do appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.